The salvage Cayman is back, and today, a huge transformation. I bought a cheap 981 Cayman on auction that was completely wrecked. In the last video, I rebuilt the front end using everything from glue to rivets. And I'm so excited because now I can drive it. And it is so much fun. Oh my goodness. But I still have a lot to do. I need to add exterior bits and lights to the front end, not to mention a whole ton of wiring just to get the lights to work. All of which, once put in the car, will reveal the final look for this build. However, first, we need fenders and hood. So the first thing we're gonna do on this is put this little panel right here onto the front of the car. It goes right here. And basically, the bumper hooks onto the top, and then the hood release, or the front release, goes about right here. So we're gonna throw this on and then we can put the fender on. All right, so I was like, oh no, this connector is painted red with overspray. It might not work. Turns out that's actually the color of the connector, so. New parts for the Porsche. Super weird because FedEx came and dropped it right in the middle of nowhere, like just on the side of the road, and the shop is like miles away. So yeah, that's fun. This could quite possibly be my favorite day. Well, at least for this build so far. Biggest chunk of parts that we need to finish this build. So without any further ado, let's jump right into cutting this down side, opening her up, and take a look at what we bought. All right, we have a hood, and hopefully this one is not bent. So here is a very dirty panel from the old one. As you can see, it is the right color. So that is very exciting. That took way long to get off. Way too long, sorry. There we go. Now it's time for the wings. All right, we have the wings. That is so exciting. So we have to remove these air vent channels, or whatever you want to call them, because this is too wide for the new bumper. So first thing we're gonna do before we put the bumper on is remove these things and add the new ones. So here are the new ones. They actually look very similar. There are some very slight differences, but the part numbers are different and quite different. So I decided that maybe I should upgrade them. So if you want the old ones, DM me. So as with any retrofit, you have teething issues. So right here, you might notice that there is a little gap through there. So because of that, we're just gonna plow ahead anyway. We might go back to the old ones, or we might customize these, or something in between. But we'll keep you posted. All right, next up, I'm gonna pull the lift down, and we're gonna get the trunk liner all installed. So we added the front liner, which really started to make this car look finished, finally. And then it was time for body panel. Stay tuned, because we are gonna be opening this box, and it's gonna reveal what the front of this car will look like when we're done. We took off the wheels so we can access it better, and the first panel right up. Okay, first panel. There's a lot of filling to get the panel just right. I think we got them pretty good. For some reason, bolts have mysteriously disappeared. The bolt fairy came at night. So anyway, we got everything all plugged in. It's all set up. This is ready for the headlight. And the whole gas situation is all figured out here. All right, this side's done. Well, we've come to the best part of the video, and that would be unboxing this. And with what we see in this box here, you will get an idea of what direction we are going to be going with this Porsche. So without any further ado, let's try to get into this box, and I'll show you what we have. We're gonna have to put this on the ground. So in the big box, we have a smaller box. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Porsche 718 Cayman Light. Now you may be asking yourself, why are you putting 718 lights on a previous generation 981? So in the B pillar and forward, the 981, the 718 Cayman, as well as the 981 Cayman all are exactly the same underneath. And because of this, I had a bright idea. If we were replacing the exterior panels and bumper already, why don't we just facelift this car and make it look like a brand new Cayman GTS? I was tempted to go for the GT4 look, but I think the GTS front bumper looks cool enough to fit the style of the build without going too much overboard. So with our build in view, let's get to work on putting together the front bumper. All right, we now come to one of the most exciting parts. This is what it's gonna look like. No. This side is what it's gonna look like. But I have it turned around this way, first of all, because we have to put the inserts in here, and then we can start putting on all the bits that make the bumper. It kind of comes in on an angle here. Whew. All right, so we got one on, and that was a lot harder than I thought it was gonna be. All right, so this is what the bumper's looking like so far. So this just wants to collapse right here. And that's because it doesn't have anything supporting it. So I think that the best way forward is to put the front grille piece in. So that's what we're gonna do. I tried to add the center support, however it was from a base 718, so we had to get the right part ordered before I could finish the bumper. Then it was time to fit the headlights. Are you ready for the moment that we've all been waiting for? The headlights. So excited about this, because they look absolutely ridiculously good. So apparently it should be pretty easy to get them in, because it's just 2 screws on the bottom, right here and right here. And so we just slide it in. Oh my goodness, that looks so good. So just like that, and then look under, and we put 2 screws, one right here and one right here. The headlights look so good, and no one could have prepared me for the headache that this was. My first attempt here was of many, where I simply connected the fog light harness to the headlight harness that I made myself. Okay, lights are on. We still have some stuff to figure out with the wiring and stuff, but now we are going to put the bumper on. And it was kind of difficult because the bumper itself was used, so it was kind of warped weirdly, and some of the pieces weren't fitting well into it. But we figured out most of the kinks, so we feel comfortable enough to at least fit it onto the car. So, super excited about this. We forgot a key component.
This thing that does so much for the car.
Yes. That's looking so good. We got the front bumper into sort of the area that we want it to be. We're just lining things up so that when we put the hood on, we know what everything is gonna look like.
What time is it?
Hood time.
It's hood time. Here it comes.
All right, I'm trying not to wreck anything. This is super exciting, but also really nerve-wracking. Very expensive and a huge piece of metal that's heavy and it's hard to wield yourself. We then attached the hood. However, the hinges must have been bent as there was a huge panel gap in the front, around 46 inches. Hood did not fit properly. We had a huge gap at the front. So basically what we had to do is go and buy more hinges, and because we couldn't find any in Guards Red, we had to go and paint them. Thankfully, we're already doing a batch of paint for the front parking sensors. All right, paint came out, and for painting it myself, they look pretty good, I won't lie. Like these things, the color compared to the rest of the car looks spot on, and I'm super impressed. They look really good. Start with putting the sensors into the bumper, and then we can set these up and get the hood back on. Hopefully, it fits better. So once we took off the old hinges, we found out why the hood was not fitting properly. Because there is a huge bend right here, and who knows where else on the hinge is bent. So thankfully we got the new hinges and we put those on. We just had to take apart the entire car in order to do that. All right, so we got the bumper put on, but we noticed that there was a big open space right here. And normally on a GTS Porsche, there is a radiator there. And basically the air comes in to the center of the grill, comes down, and goes to the radiator. And it kind of looked kind of weird just having this big red splotch. So what we decided to do was get the backing plate for that. And basically that will go on right there-ish. Kind of hard to see. And that will make it look OEM, as well as it will help the air come in the grill and then just proceed to go under the car like it's supposed to do. All right, it went on okay. It felt like it wasn't going to go on at first. Like these were, like this wasn't butting up against it. However, it has now gone on, and I think I should be able to get the crash bar back on with no issues. And there we go. So that's what it looks like. The air comes in through the front and comes down. Next, it was time to finish the front bumper. All right, so here are the parts right here. Basically, this gets inset in the bumper, and then this piece right here pops in behind it. It's a little bit annoying working with plastic, especially when it's a little bit cold outside, because it doesn't want to really go in properly. So we're just gonna flip the bumper over and we're gonna try to work on getting those pieces put in. So this plastic is so cold and so stiff that we need to get a heat gun to heat it up a little bit so we can actually get everything together. So using the heat gun to make the plastic more pliable and using automotive glue to further hold everything in place, it was probably the best decision I could have made. So after that, I heaved this heavy bumper onto the car again, this time by myself, and we were in business. It was now time to work on the lights. So the manufacturer of these headlights said that the headlight should work, just plug and play. So after I started experiencing some issues, they started backpedaling a little bit. And they told me that I actually had to purchase an aftermarket wiring harness that they would supply. And let's fit that to the car and see if it will work. So in order to do this, I had to remove the front bumper again, and then had to send a wire through the firewall and to the fuse box to work as the ignition wire. After that, we should be all set. So it might be a little bit hard to see, but here is where the wires go into the cabin. And so I just have to like drill in this side of it about right here. So the daytime running lights work. Now for the headlights. Yep, the normal headlights work. High beams, and the high beams work, and the signals work. Now let's see if they're gonna flicker. All right, so we have to figure out why the front light is flickering. Voltage reader right here, and hopefully we can figure out what power is flickering, or if indeed it's power that's flickering. So the first step is to start and go through every step of the wiring harness. On here, I'm testing it right now, and it's at 14.38. What will happen is that in a second, it'll go shooting back down to a 14.27. Yep, and there it goes. So I tested the headlights, and I noticed that the headlights have an issue with voltage only when the car is on. For those interested, here's a wiring diagram that I was using for the wire adapters, and I jotted on it the issues with my voltage. The lights work fine on 12 volts when the car is off, but as soon as you turn the car over, it bumps up to 14 volts, and then we start getting issues. So to solve this, I had to bypass a bunch of stuff. I purchased just an automotive aftermarket headlight wiring harness relay, and basically how that works is the relay sees the power to turn on the headlight. It'll pull power from the battery as opposed to the alternator, and that way you always have constant 12 volt for both the low beams as well as the high beams. That, everything works as intended. And look at this car. It looks absolutely amazing. The front bumper is aggressive and sharp. The panel gaps are a lot better than they were before. I mean, maybe not Porsche spec, but surely better than Tesla. And look at those front headlights. They look absolutely fantastic. I'm so glad that we decided to upgrade to the LED ones, because not only do they look better, and not only do they facelift this car to look just as amazing as a brand new Porsche Cayman, they also are super bright at night. We still have a lot of plans for this build, so make sure that you subscribe and stay tuned, because you don't want to miss what we have coming next. And to give you a little hint of that, we hope you enjoyed, but most of all, we hope you all have an amazing rest of your day, and we'll see you in the next one.